think they get really worried when they start to get, well, doc, I just can't afford it.
Hmm.
And they won't ask the other follow-up questions like you would if you had a friend, right?
Yeah.
So they won't say, well, I know you say that, but we have financing, we have a lot of things, but what's your plan?
Mm.
You know,
Yeah.
they won't even ask them what their plan is. And here in the States, I know that you're primarily in the UK, but you've been all over the world. And here, we have a healthcare situation to where it is expensive, you know.
Yeah.
However, it's less expensive now to pay cash pay, even if it's like $3,000 to $7,000, than to, in many cases, pay insurance all the time,
Right.
because it's just not paying for it. You're still having to pay when you pay for insurance. And so people, I think it's easier now because people are they're becoming more aware of how limited these institutions are with getting them to a wellness point where they're well. And it
Mm.
seems that these institutions are more keeping them, I hate to say keeping them sick, but keeping them into the institution where they're needed, where they still need pharmaceuticals, where they still need all this stuff. And I just, how do you in your sales training help the people who have a hard time when they get a no, they immediately go, okay.
Mm. Yeah. So that's a good question actually, because the no in a the sort of selling that I do, which is a corporate business to business sale, is somewhat different to the type of selling you're doing, where
Mm,
it's one-on-one, right? The clinician with the patient. And in the corporate environment, you're dealing with, yes, you're dealing with a decision maker, but there's other decision makers involved as well, and you can
mm,
build a momentum behind the sale that you're making, such that the person who might be objecting to the deal, right? The momentum of everyone else, it kind of brings them along on that journey. And so I suppose the lesson from that is when you're in a environment where it's you and your patient, and your patient's objecting, saying, "Well, I'm not sure I can afford that." There is still other aspects to this, right? Because that person has a family, that person has a partner, that person has children, that person has parents, that person is dependent, other people are dependent on that person. There's a whole kind of set of hats that that person sat in front of you is wearing. And all of those people are invested in making sure that that person is healthy and has a good outcome. So part of a kind of a sales pitch could be around all of those people that care for you, all these people that are interested in your health. What would they say, right? What would their recommendation be? What would their advice be to you? And that can be the thing that can make someone stop and say, "Do you know what? Actually, I should invest in my health, because without your health, you have nothing, right? That's the bottom line." So, and I appreciate that it's a lot of money. And particularly, even if you have insurance, you may have copay to think about as well, which also then adds to the
mm.
complexity of it. But at the end of the day, that investment in you, in your health and your well-being is the most important thing you can do, because without that, you cannot look after your parents, you cannot look after your children, you cannot provide for your partner, you cannot do the things that you want to do. So that, I suppose, is the way that I would potentially approach that sort of situation, is to call upon, in their mind, call upon the people around them that rely on them.
I think that's a really good idea because people tend to put themselves above, put themselves less than others around them.
Mhm.
Well, I can't do this because they're going to want to go do this trip, or my son's got to go do this for school and that. But at the end of the day, they want their dad or their mom to be healthy,
Yeah,
you
exactly.
know, and to
Yeah.
enjoy life and to still be there and not say, oh, I can't get up out of the chair and dance with you at our wedding because I could have taken care of this 5 years ago and I didn't. And now I can barely walk, or, whatever it is.